Man, listen. What's up, YouTube, man? It's your boy Game Like Will, man. Back with another video. In this video, we just gonna be talking about something that I just came up with the name of this shit. It's called Oscillating Rizz. Well, what does something mean that's oscillating, right? Oscillating means to be, you know, oscillating, like moving back and forth. Uh, a lot of y'all, I'm sure you feel this way. You feel like, why is it that on Monday I was able to talk to a female and have swag, demeanor, self-esteem, just be totally on my game, right? And then on Wednesday or Friday or whatever day that wasn't Monday, you had what I like to call oscillating Rizz. OR, oscillating Rizz. Or oscillating game or whatever word you want to put there. But the word oscillating is so important because as men, you know what I'm saying, one of the main things that really hinder guys and keep them away from ass, money, success, fame, anything you might have a inkling to want in life, it's the oscillating effect, right? Monday you felt like you was a big shot. Friday, for some reason, you felt like you was a loser. You know what I'm saying? And the more I study certain things in game from different origins of game, I get more hip and more wise to what things might be coming from and where they might be coming from. And in NLP, which is like a hypnosis type of game, like right, it's a hypnotic type of game. Um, People, there's a word called anchoring, right? In NLP, is a word called anchoring. And anchoring is when it has to do with your five senses, So you could smell something and it reminds you of somebody who maybe once bullied you or once did something to you, and then it triggers off. Um, um, I forget. I'm still learning that shit, but it's like an anchor, meaning like, for instance, a person could get anchored in a situation. So, like for instance, say I'm talking to a girl and I connect something with a touch. So um this shit is kind of confusing when you try to explain it, and I see why people just don't get it. But it's connecting a feeling with a fucking moment or some shit like that. And it kind of, and the word anchor, if you type it in on the synonym app, it means to like be, you know what a fucking anchor is? It means like to be fixed, or to be like kind of like secured, and to secure something. So if you're in a pickup community or dating or whatever, and you decide, I want to add anchors into my game, I want to add anchors into how I date or whatever, that could be very powerful, because it could literally make a female just always be thinking about you, or always want to be around you. And just the word hypnosis within itself was funny to me, because I was doing a little bit of journaling, and I was like, yo, the word hypnosis is kind of like, the way I grew up in the 90s, like that shit is weird to me. Like, you feel me? We only knew about like the Adams family and certain vampires and certain certain people will wear suits and then have the little clock in their hand and try to hypnotize somebody. And that's the cartoon shit that we seen growing up. But it's funny because when you think about what NLP or hypnosis really is, it's just talking. One person could talk from a place of naivety and don't, you know, understand that words are fucking, could be like a weapon, or it could be a fucking a prayer, or it could be many different things. And life is an experiential thing also. So if you're naive, you're naive. But women are more accustomed to knowing this shit, if you ask me, by nature, because especially like I said, for the single family households with the mothers, because once spanking stop hurting, once spanking stop hurting, and even before that, when your mom was dealing with your father and shit like that, when your father, she was thinking he was an asshole and all that shit, she had to have some way of manipulating him and controlling him too, right? So, but again, this is more of a error type of thing, not error as in a negative thing, but an era as in the 80s, the 70s, the 80s, the 90s, and the music, right? Music is hypnotic, right? When you hear it, you know you can hear something and it anchors you. You can hear a song that you heard at a cookout. You can hear a song that you heard here, there, or wherever, and it reminds you of when I hear the T-Pain song, "Bartender" or something. It reminds me of when I was, maybe like in eighth grade, seventh grade, or some shit like that. Like, just different things could remind you of different things. Now, it's important to know this because I'm gonna tie this into why your Rizz be fucking up, because hypnosis is a rhythm, right? So the goal of life is to be in rhythm, right? When Steph Curry's shooting that three, or when Kobe was shooting shots, or any athlete, any gamer, anybody who do anything, even playing Modern Warfare, anything, you know that there's a fucking certain type of rhythm you gotta be in, that makes you automatic. It makes you, you're in what they call it in, forgot what they call that shit. Let's just say you're in a mode where you don't just easily fuck up. And that could be considered like a hypnotic state. You know what I'm saying? And what people don't understand, because I never understood that. I'd be like, yo, why it seem like I'm getting every girl right now? Or why it seem like I'm making every 3-point shot right now? Or, and I remember me and my friend was playing basketball, and he seen it. He seen it too. Like, I caught on fire and just started making every shot. And he was amazed with the shit. And I'm like, damn, like, what is that? You know what I'm saying? Like, but people, human beings, we go in and out of states. You know what I'm saying? If you play chess every day, you'll get into a certain mode where you don't gotta think no more. You just naturally, instinctually doing something. And so the question be, what is that instinct, right? And I call it life. You know what I'm saying? It's life. It's the part of you that is underneath the part of you that went to school, and the part of you that had to learn how to logicalize everything, the part of you that had to learn how to give a fuck and all that. Because like even when you get high, right? Because if you type in the word hypnosis, the word opioid will pop up, and words like I think the word sedative, like when you go to sleep, like or when you put someone in a state where they're tired, you know what I'm saying? Or I think the word even drug came up, drug like cocaine. If you think about the 80s, everybody was on cocaine. It was actually something that people thought was like cool to do at first, until they realized the side effects of it and all that stuff. But you know, one of my dating coaches always talk about being a drug to a woman, being a drug, and also being a drug to yourself first, right? But what did he mean by that metaphor? He basically saying like, you should be the hypnotic state. You should be the opioid. You should be that way, not only to women but to yourself first. Meaning like you love yourself. You're strung out on yourself. Like everything is about me. And I think that concept gets watered down when you're raised by a single mother a lot of the time, because it's your father actually that's gonna put that model in front of you, like be like me, um literally basically almost saying it without saying it, like be you, but the you are is supposed to be modeling like me. You're a model of me, and you're gonna follow that model, and then later on in life you'll start to see why it's so important to do that. But when your father's gone, you're just doing any fucking thing chaotic, which is chaotic and feminine energy, and you're just trying to like figure things out. Now you still got the genetics, thank God, but you don't got the fucking connections, right? Genetics without connections is still shit. It's not anything. But so this is why I'm here, making the neural connections. Neural, right? Neurology. That's what NLP really is anyway. Neural. It's the neural. It's because I love science. I grew up on science. So, it just, everything in my mind, it makes sense why a person would be smoother than another motherfucker based on the way he thinks, the way he sees something. right? I talk about how I used to be scared of spiders. One day I was sitting on the toilet, a spider landed on my arm. I had no fucking choice. So I thought it was a fucking ant or some shit. So I just knocked it off. Didn't know what it was. Look on the floor. I see a yellow spider. What did that teach me? It taught me something very fucking funny. And I want to let y'all know that NLP and game in general, most people with game have a natural sense of humor, and it's because um, it's like a dark humor, and it's because like life is funny, like real life is funny, and you know it's shit that you would learn if you was around your pops more than your mom, but like hunting and shit is just funny. Like death could be funny. Things that people cry about to real men are actually kind of just humorous, and people laugh at slaughtering and shit like that. But anyway, and that makes the difference between the cupcake era of the 90s that I grew up in, where everything was about music and fun, versus real men who see real shit and know that okay, it's sad, but it's not really that it's not it's a part of life type shit. Um, we could go deeper on those topics later, but those are important topics if you want to understand NLP and shit like that. Because the shit that you be scared of be shit that you should, you know, your life will be, you'll be freer had you not been scared of this shit, right? If you're not scared of snakes, you'll do a lot more. If you're not scared of spiders, you'll do a lot more. There's kids that hold big spiders in their hands, right? And there's adults who say, "Get that away from me. I'm not going near that. I'm not." There's people who scared of dogs that don't even bite. You know, sometimes I see a little dog don't even bite, and I start feeling a little something. But that's that's mental, bro. That's not really real life because you know you're not really scared of shit for real. And that's what I'm trying to say. Like certain shit seems scary and certain shit is brutal, but that shit doesn't really what you can call it. Now, why did I just go that far to come all the way back? Okay, so you got oscillating Rizz. Your Rizz oscillates because it's not stable, and it's not stable because you're not stable, and you're not stable because you're not cracked out on you. You're not the cocaine of you. You're not in love with yourself. You're not actually in love with yourself. So it's a difference between a person who acts like they're in love with themselves, act like they love themselves, this, that, and the third, and then there's people who really, really fucking love themselves. And see, one of the biggest things that hold people back is, you know, when you really make that connection of I love myself, no, in your body, neurology, like true love with yourself, that means that you can't fake it no more. You have to really go out on a limb. You have to really go get a job. You have to really, you know what I'm saying, stand on shit, and you have to really be who you say you are. None of that, you know, real can't fake and fake can't real. You know what I'm saying? That's what that is. And it's neural. It's neural. It's energy. It's not a fucking fiction story. It's not a fucking a fable. It's not some figment of your imagination. This is real life. So why do some people always got game? Because I know y'all see that where some people are always on point. Like any girl they come across, it's certain people I see and they just naturally always got something to say. When there ain't a woman alive gonna make that person not know what to say. It ain't a person alive. Then you got some people who oscillate, and like I said on Monday, da da da, they like spotting like they're on a period or some shit. Like they don't, they good on Monday, bad on Friday, good again on next Monday, bad again on next Friday, then bad again on next Monday, then bad on Friday, and then it's like you're never stable. You'll never really be stable. And again, it's two reasons really. It's the reason, like I said, about not loving yourself, and then it's the reason of not having no stubbornness and nothing, right? NLP guy that I listen to, he talked about people, they don't got no tenacity. Like, okay, they're too agreeable and they don't got no fucking stubbornness. So that's that growing up around your mom and aunts and grandma shit. You know what I'm saying? The stubbornness must be implemented in order for you to break through barriers, especially in something called a matrix. Like, what the fuck you think you just gonna get this shit? Like, you know what I'm saying? You gotta have fortitude, and you know, it's something that blossoms out of that. something blossoms out of pushing yourself through some shit that you really feel like, every fiber in your body is telling you that, because the way you was raised was fucked up. Every fiber in your body telling you that that's not the right thing to do. Like approaching 20 women feels fucking weird, but when you really do it enough, the shit starts becoming like second nature, which means it's in your neurology, meaning that you're more likely to be smooth in the eyes of others because you're just doing some shit that they scared to do, like holding a snake or holding a spider. You know, it's funny that women are compared to snakes and spiders typically, but yeah, that's what that should be. It'd be a phobia. Niggas be having a phobia of pussy, like real shit. And then it's like, that makes you a pussy. And it makes you chase pussy. It's an unbalance. Either way, it's a fucked up situation. But the guy who can hold the snake or the spider or the woman, it's not moving him either way. It's kind of just a part of his week or part of his day where he just naturally is like, oh, look, it's shedding skin today, or look, she's on her period today, or look. I'm not comparing women to pets and shit, but I'm just saying. So, because at one point I was scared to make YouTube videos, and then, now look at me type shit. I mean, it's anything in life, bro. And it's called a hypnotic state, if you ask me, because it's a form of NLP because you're in rhythm. You're in rhythm. Algorithm. What do you think that is? Algorithm. Um, you got bad anchors and good anchors. You got bad patterns, good patterns. Smoking cigarettes, a bad pattern. Any type of being on any drugs, a bad pattern. But see, the thing that make this shit so difficult is you gotta actually sit down with a piece of paper and ask yourself what's worth getting into that pattern and what's worth getting out of that pattern. Because some patterns are unconscious and they're from your childhood, the upbringing. Like I said, being scared of shit that men aren't scared of. It's a fucking bad pattern. A good pattern is maybe that shit protects you sometimes, and maybe what I'm saying. And then you got that, like you got some shit that is in the middle, like it may help you and hurt you type shit. So you gotta really sit down and really do that shit yourself. You feel me? But that's why I always talk about journaling and shadow work, because you got to really understand that the world is an indirect place. And a lot of things people try to face direct, but it's an indirect. It's, you do something over here to get a result over there type shit. So, yeah, your oscillating game is your fear that comes up and says you're not good enough. So you are already in NLP. You're already communicating neurology, whether it's a failure or a non-failure, whether it's good or bad, you're already communicating a subconscious thing, because you, um, first of all, you shouldn't have fear. Uh, they call it false evidence appearing real, but I call it, sometimes it's real evidence appearing real. Because, like I said, rhythms are patterns, and patterns never lie. You know what I'm saying? For the most part. So people need to understand that um patterns are patterns type shit. Like, you know what I'm saying? Patterns are patterns. And if you want to break a pattern, I suggest, the harder way will be to make a pattern, but the easier way will be to model somebody who already broke the pattern. Like I said, most the thing that I think kills people the most, and I'm gonna probably end it around 20 something, but people see somebody smooth, right? And they try to eyeball the shit, and then their ego comes up and say, no, I'm not gonna copy. I'm just gonna try to do it like this. But they're not getting the neural connections to what it really takes to be that way when that person's not even around, and you don't have to look for that person for any help. That's why I said yesterday, I made a video about the 4 things to ask yourself when you come up with what's good to do to a woman. When you say, "Oh, I'm gonna do this to a woman," can you stand on it? Can you back it up, defend it? Can you do these things? Because when you answer those 4 questions, you don't have to look around and be codependent. See, codependent is another thing too in your neurology. It's neural. It's not, let me get up and stop being codependent. It's like, no, you're gonna forever be codependent because it's in your nervous system, and you're being anchored through certain things that you can't probably even see because it's subconscious communication. It's subtle. When you think of the word subconscious, think of the word subtle. Something that's subtle is something that's right in front of you, but you can't see it type shit. So, but you'll become more conscious of those things as you learn NLP or just subcommunication shit or just like pay more attention to life. That's why I say it's really just life. But it's the subtle things in life that it fucks you over, not the unsubtle, right? Not the big things. But yeah, it's a lot of distractions out here. But you're isolating Rizz, you're oscillating Rizz. Um, think of like the thing going wavering back and forth. You want your Rizz to be here or there or there and stay there so that you can build on things that are already there. Or be the first person to build some shit from out of thin air. You know what I'm saying? Um, all of life is a recreation or um, recreation, innovation, um, conception. I'm using a bunch of words that's the same meaning for what I'm saying. All life is that creation, recreation, remodeling, or modeling. You're either creating something new or you're doing something that was done already. That's basically what I'm saying. And a lot of people, they don't operate from a conscious state of mind. So they don't say like, okay, now that I'm aware of something I wasn't aware of before, how do I staple or anchor that there to where I can build off of something or change? Because you know the term where they say you gotta do something you never done to become something you never been or go somewhere you never been. This is all this conversation is about. If you want your risk to increase, you have to literally ask yourself these fucking introspective questions like, um, not only what is the thought or what do I want to do to a female or what do I want to say, but how is it that I need to feel to get into a state of creativity first? This is my first question because some guys don't need to do that. Again, depending on how they was raised. If you were raised by a mother, you probably got chaos in your energy somewhere. You probably just, but chaos is confusion and it blinds the creative part of you. The creative part of you has to be open and it's a wave. It's a wave. This is why people can't create because they're not in that wave. They're not in that um frequency, right? They're not in that frequency, and they think that creativity is just when you think of creativity with your logical mind, you say, "Oh, it's just a person that's able to be creative," and it's like, no, it's anybody who gets into the right state. Like when you go to sleep, you mean to tell me this super uncreative person is not having the most detailed dream ever? They're having because the state that they're in, it opens them up to their imagination, which is already there, but you can have blockages in between. Depending on what you eat, how you think, who you hang around. Like I said, these are negative anchors. If you're hanging around somebody, they're triggering the part of you that is survival instinct. When you're in survival instinct, your creativity will deduce. Oscillating Rizz. I'm just trying to give y'all some pointers on this shit. Why, on a neural level, a lot of y'all may fall in and out of state where you got to be in state to do the things like hit the golf ball and make the shot in front of everybody, or get that girl when y'all are walking through Chipotle and she spilled her drink, but you still got to Rizz her up, or things that seem impossible or near difficult. In your mind, if I could do this, then I could do the simple approach. And it's true. If you could do the more difficult things, then you could do a lot of the easy shit. You know what I'm saying? But yeah, your Rizz should not um do that. But it will. And that's a part of the game, is understanding that that shit will do that, you know. Like Allen Iverson don't play basketball in a long time, he get back in the gym. Well, there used to be this term called, oh, I'm rusty. I ain't been in the gym in a minute. I'm rusty. You should be a well-oiled machine, but you're rusty. Well, what is two people gonna do two different things in that situation? One dickhead is gonna believe that, okay, because I'm rusty, that means I'm really just rusty. That's actually not a dickhead. That's actually a smart way to think about it. That's actually a smart way, because you're not gonna get anchored in that way. Because you're allowed, you're by you owning it. Like when people be like, oh, because in the PUA community, there's this thing where people be like, oh, if you're scared of a girl, just tell her. That's basically what they're saying. They're saying by when you avoid things, they don't leave, they sit there. But when you tell a female, oh, I think you're beautiful, you're making me nervous, it opens up, it frees up whatever the fuck. Like it's a I would say it's partially self-sabotaging to do that, but at the same time, it can really lead, because you're being honest, right? Honesty is a big integrity thing, and integrity is a part of being in state. You know what I'm saying? Like when you're asleep, I think that when you're asleep, even the position of being asleep, you're flat. Your spine is straight. So you're actually integrity. See, people, and this is another thing too. You could look at a person's body and tell if they got integrity, because they will either sit up straight or sit down like this. You can look at a person's spinal cord, and that's another thing. If you type in the word, and I'm just making connections, bro. I hope y'all staying with me. If you type in the word on the synonym app, hypnosis, the word spinal will pop up. Like, and I know I'll be on to certain shit. Like I just be making connections. Like if I type in the word hypnosis, this computer moving kind of slow right now. But as this is the last thing I'm gonna say to y'all. When y'all talk to a woman, and if your mind state ain't, how can I put my words together? Because that's what the Richard Bandler is an NLP hypnosis fucking god or guru or some shit. And he's where I go to see the way a person should talk. A person with the way he talks, it's a way that I feel like, or not only do I feel like, but I could clearly see he has a effect on people, and he has a lot of qualities that can either scare a person, it could attract a person, it could turn, like, he has a range of things he can make someone feel, because he knows how to talk. And people don't look at talking the way they look at learning how to play the piano, or learning how to make beats, or learning how to program software. If you looked at it that way, you'll be able to go into that bag and pull that out and do that. I ain't gonna call it a trick, but it could be a trick if you want it to be, or it could just be an honest thing you're doing. But it's that diversity of, like I say, a man is a mysterious creature. And if y'all don't put some fear in a woman, not saying physical, then she don't feel excited around you. She don't feel a thrill. That, you know what I'm saying? A woman must always be seeing that you that nigga. You know what I'm saying? And one of the best ways to do it is the way you talk. The way that you talk to a woman shows her. Look, I typed in the word hypnosis. I'm gonna read. It's about 10 things on here. I'm gonna read every one. First one says strongest match, opioid. So how is hypnosis, NLP hypnosis, an opioid? Well, opioid is a fucking drug. The next thing is analgesic. The next thing is anodyne. Then it says dope. Reminds me of the 80s when everyone was on dope. And then when we smoke weed, sometimes we call it dope, right? Oh, I'm smoking that dope. See, when I used to smoke a little bit, it put me in an altered state. Same thing NLP does. It put me in a state. Sometimes it feel good. Sometimes I get too high and I don't like the way it feels. But either way, that it's a drug, bro. Inhalant, shot, um, sulfuric, And then it says spinal. What the fuck is spinal? We're gonna click on that. It says general anesthetic, uh, hypnotic, local anesthetic, narcotic, painkiller. That's another thing. A man is around a woman is a painkiller. Every time you text her, she should feel like you're an opioid. She should feel high. She should feel a high in your presence. And that's another thing. That's why I say use the word spine. It says spinal. How the fuck you gonna make a woman feel high if you're sitting low? And I got a fucking bent back because I grew up in the fucking weird. But I'm just saying, like, when I sit up like this, it feel weird sometimes. I used to have like a little fucking whatchamacallit, the little thing you wear that make your back sit up like this. And I'm not dumb, bro. I know I look more attractive like this than like this. But it's just a pattern that I've been living in. And I guarantee you there's an NLP thing out here that you could do that fix that shit. Cause it's just a lot of weird shit we don't know about. But spinal. I'm about to get out of here. We 30 minutes, and it's been a long time coming. What does spinal mean? Because it doesn't say spine; it says spinal. Okay, it doesn't even say nothing about the spine. It just says the same shit, opioid and all that shit. The matches of that word. But the one thing you'll learn about the English dictionary is these words got words in them. Like spinal, even though they're not talking about your fucking spine, most of the words that sound like what comes to your mind be the fucking same. It has connections. It may not be, and that's the thing that's crazy about neurology too. Everything is indirect. So if everything's indirect, it tricks you because okay, the average reader will say, okay, that word says spinal, but they won't break the word down into little bits to see like what it might also have connections to. Because that's the way our body works, and that's the way the world works. It's like everything is connected to something else. But Joe thinks that everything is just what it is. Like, oh, cereal is just cereal. TV is just TV. My teacher is just my teacher. They see the world 1D, one dimensional. But everything is indirect. Not meaning to get too spiritual, but this Rizz shit I gotta get broken down because you gotta understand that sometimes it's not the fact that you don't got the Rizz, it's the fact that your environment is anchoring you to feel more in your survival instinct. Like if you wake up around a narcissist and they're yelling on the phone, and this was one of my first videos I made about how a narcissist could fuck up your mouthpiece. There's times where I don't even want to chill around a female because I just want to recharge my energy because I'm around somebody I shouldn't be around type shit. You don't think that impacts my overall game? Because that woman gonna be like, where the fuck you at? Why you don't want to link up? Whole time I'm trying to take a nap or trying to restore or eat some good food because I gotta recharge. Because if I hang around her, remember, if you're around a female, you should only be upgrading. Never hang around. Like I ain't gonna say never hang around a female no other way. Cause you could hang around a female and start off in a bad energy, and if you really got game, you can up your energy around the female, like wait before you meet her, while you walk into meet her or some shit or whatever. Um, you just could talk yourself into a different. You could use affirmations, like you could talk yourself into a different state of mind. And mind is everything. So once your mind changes, your energy gonna change. But this is neurology, right? Um, I got experience enough to know that I can do that. Whereas though another person who lacks experience is gonna be like, no, I'm just gonna lay down and just chill in the crib today. No, you can actually win, but there'd be a lot of distractions out here. I keep using that word distraction because that is one of the biggest cop blockers in the world is your environment. Things that everything you got two things to worry about. Natural shit that's happening. There's like maybe your phone ringer every time a female texts you, you miss the texts or the call. I got a little situation like that going on. That's like a natural, because it's like as you work on your game, you have just naturally some bullshit and link ups. You missing little text messages is making. Then you got the other disasters that's like shit that's like doesn't have to be there, but it is like things that are in society that just naturally cop block. You know what I'm saying? But again, the goal is to not be defeated or get mad at anything, because being mad at something doesn't change it. You know, being scared of something doesn't change it. Emotions doesn't change. Emotions, especially ones that develop in childhood, they don't change a situation that's ugly. You know what I'm saying? In fact, it can anchor you, like I said, and make you have a neural connection to something that's negative versus you seeing it as, okay, let me think differently on that specific topic on purpose. Like I said, consciously doing that. It may not feel good at first and it may feel like death, but at least you can guarantee a change in the near future. You know, the fact that my phone don't work, the fact that this bitch ass laptop moving so slow right now, and I'm trying to text this girl back and she trying to link up. It's just things that we have to understand, man, that go on in society. You know what I'm saying? And sometimes I think about YouTubers. Like I was watching a Rolo Tomasi video yesterday, and he talked about how he was making videos back in like 2006 or something. And it makes me think like these people who are like flourishing now, when they started, they was probably around my age or a little, you know, a little younger, maybe not, maybe a little older. But we never think about all the fucking bullshit that people went through before they got famous. Like I was looking at a Kevin Gates interview, and he was saying like, "Yo, when you about to make it, it's gonna seem like everything is going up against you," type shit. And even Drake got a song called "The Resistance." You know what I'm saying? Like, there's resistance in the Matrix, and again, if you don't, you can't change the outside world in a lot of situations. You can't just get up and move out of your mom house, you know, when you ain't got no money. You can't just get a job if ain't nobody hiring. Ain't nobody hiring. You know what I'm saying? Like, I'm not saying you can't force it, but you're gonna have to be stubborn and get that shit to happen. And a lot of people, they just don't got that type of grit and determination. They're too naive, they're too young, and they just don't have that fucking. They weren't raised by the right gender. You know what I'm saying? Literally the right gender. They was raised by a fucking female. And not saying that to knock females, because females are beautiful, but they're not men. You know what I'm saying? So they just don't get it. They don't know why a father would tell their son a piece of information. Some, you know, I've seen my mom millions of times get mad at just anything my father's saying, and I had to like reiterate as I got older and look at the situation. But nah, my dad actually was not saying no bullshit. It was some bullshit, but it wasn't the way she made it sound. You see what I'm saying? It's like when two guys are in a barber shop going back and forth. One guy may be a little bit wrong, more wrong than the other guy, but there's no wrong answer because it's just two men going back and forth. Just like two women. Two women could do that, and there's no really wrong answer in a lot of these conversations between two women. It's just two different perspectives about them because they're both adults. They both know what the fuck they talking about. And at the end of the day, they're gonna walk away and feel whatever they feel. But it's when you mix the genders in these things, and then that's where it gets more warlike, right? Where a guy's saying that men should be treated like kings, and then the woman's like, "Oh my God, I hate people who think like that." Right? It's killing her on an internal level. Because it's like, you know, anywhere where there's two genders, it just is the catastrophe unless it's, you know, for mating purposes or two people are very compatible with each other. You know, anywhere else, you know, I feel like it's just too much. That's why I don't think women and guys could really be friends. I think they can happen. It can happen, but I don't think it's something that always. Well, we're 40 minutes fucking in this shit, man. I'm about to get out of here. I don't think I ever made a 40-minute video on this channel, and on my last channel I used to do that all the time, and I don't like doing that, bro, because it's just not a smart pattern, right? I'm gonna start using that word. It's not a pattern to get into, because for me personally, that shit makes me feel like not posting again. And I like to post multiple videos per day, and it makes me feel some type of way when I do that. But she texted me back, and I couldn't even see what she said because this laptop was acting slow. But yeah, your whole life will change, your luck will change, everything will change when you decide, like, okay, I'm gonna be focused on neurology versus focusing on what I can't control in a lot of cases. You know what I'm saying? Um, she trying to get the location. Mm, I don't, I don't, I don't like to give every female my direct location, because they just don't they just don't need to always know it. You feel me? This is our first time linking up. I don't do that shit. I aspire y'all to not do that either. But yeah, bro, everything in life is patterns, and you gotta read patterns, and you gotta know them and understand, like, what the fuck you doing, if that makes any sense. Everything's a pattern. That's what neurologists know. That's what people know, whether it's subconscious or consciously. And some things, the pattern is too like it's expansive, or it's a calculation that you just maybe never learned. That doesn't mean you can't learn the shit. Like, that's why people can make big change in their life as they get older. Like, big change in their life. Like I said, bro. Um, I'm gonna end it on this. The guy I listened to, NLP guy that I said is like an NLP guide. He said it's not what you're doing, it's how you feel about what you're doing. It's not that you talking to women. And then, like I said, being in state. This is kind of what he's saying. It's your beliefs about this shit. Like, you change a man beliefs, just like in church. Like, you change a man beliefs, his whole life is going to have altering effects. Like, um, a lot of y'all have a phobia of hanging with women. A lot of y'all have what is that shit called? A phobia of intimacy or some shit. And that's a difficult one, because if you only hang with a female once per every 2, 3, like, if you don't got enough game to have frequent women around, you're not really getting comfortable around stranger women. You may be comfortable around your family members because you see them every day or every other day. But you have to kind of get comfortable around what doesn't feel so right. And then that's when eventually it is right. And it's been right, but it just, life is a very, very weird thing. Neurology is energy goes where attention flows, or energy flows where attention goes, or some shit like that. Focus on good results. Sometimes you text a female, you think, damn, I want her to text back. You don't even realize you're thinking that thought. It's subconscious. I wish you would hurry up and text back. Da, 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 where's she at? What the fuck going on? I want her to hurry up before this happened or for that happened. Like, you're you're not being conscious about it. If you become conscious, you're like, wait, hold on. I don't give a fuck if she takes back. Matter of fact, I'm about to go do something else. Da, da, da.